Laura Sinclair, at 38, was the epitome of elegance in the fashion world. Born in Boston and educated at the prestigious Parsons School of Design, Laura had made a name for herself with her innovative and luxurious fashion lines. Her designs graced the runways of Paris and New York, and her name was synonymous with sophistication and success. Her residence in Los Angeles was a sleek penthouse overlooking the city's glittering skyline, a testament to her achievements and wealth. Her husband, Gregory Sinclair, was a prominent 50-year-old investor with a reputation for his sharp business acumen. Hailing from Chicago, Gregory had transitioned from a modest background to a life of opulence through savvy investments and a knack for spotting lucrative opportunities. Despite his financial success, his personal life seemed overshadowed by Laura's fame. Gregory had always played the role of the supportive husband, but beneath the surface, their marriage had been strained. The fashion world was abuzz with excitement for Laura's latest collection, set to be showcased at a major fashion event in just a few days. However, on a chilly Wednesday morning, the glitz and glamour came to an abrupt halt. Laura Sinclair was discovered dead in her luxurious penthouse apartment, a striking contrast to her usual surroundings. The police arrived at the scene to find Laura lying on the marble floor of her bedroom, her life extinguished by the cruel embrace of one of her own silk scarves. The initial investigation was led by Detective Rachel Adams, a seasoned investigator known for her meticulous approach. Rachel, at 45, had worked on numerous high-profile cases throughout her career. Born and raised in San Francisco, she had developed a keen eye for detail and a knack for uncovering hidden truths. Rachel was no stranger to the world of high society, but the murder of Laura Sinclair, a woman of such prominence, posed a unique challenge. The scene was as opulent as Laura's life had been. The penthouse was a gallery of modern art and high-end furniture, each piece meticulously arranged. Laura's body was positioned in a way that suggested a struggle, with the silk scarf tightly knotted around her neck. The crime scene was eerily quiet, save for the distant hum of the city below. Rachel began her investigation by speaking with the household staff. The penthouse was maintained by a small but efficient team, including a housekeeper named Maria Hernandez, who had been with the Sinclairs for over 5 years. Maria, a 50-year-old immigrant from Mexico, had always been discreet and efficient in her duties. Her loyalty to the family was unwavering, but she was visibly shaken by the murder. Also interviewed was the personal assistant, Jessica Klein, a 29-year-old who had worked closely with Laura. Jessica was a native of Los Angeles, having joined Laura's team just over a year ago. She was described as hardworking and enthusiastic, but her recent reports suggested a growing tension between her and Laura over various work-related issues. Jessica claimed to have been at a yoga class during the time of the murder, a statement supported by a classmate. The investigation quickly turned towards Gregory Sinclair. At 50, Gregory was a man accustomed to the finer things in life. His demeanor was calm and composed as he answered questions about his whereabouts. On the night of Laura's murder, Gregory had attended a charity event at a prestigious venue across town. The event had been well documented, with numerous witnesses confirming his presence. Despite his solid alibi, Gregory was a suspect due to the nature of the crime and the strained dynamics of his marriage. The couple had been seen arguing publicly several times in the past few months, and whispers of marital discord were common knowledge among their social circles. Gregory's financial investments were also under scrutiny, as the couple had faced a series of setbacks in recent months, exacerbating their personal issues. Detective Adams turned her attention to Laura's professional life. Laura's affair with Ben Carter, a celebrated celebrity stylist, had been the talk of the fashion world. Ben, at 40, was known for his impeccable taste and charm. He had collaborated with Laura on several high-profile projects, and their personal relationship had become the subject of much speculation. The affair had reportedly ended in a heated dispute, with Laura withdrawing her support for Ben's upcoming fashion show. Rachel interviewed Ben at his chic studio in West Hollywood. Ben's demeanor was tense but cooperative. He spoke candidly about his relationship with Laura, admitting that their affair had ended badly. He had been working late at his studio on the night of the murder, preparing for a significant event that was to showcase his own designs. Ben's alibi was supported by multiple witnesses at his studio, but his recent financial troubles and the acrimonious end of his relationship with Laura cast him in a suspicious light. As Rachel sifted through the details of Laura's life and relationships, she uncovered a darker side to the glamorous facade. Laura's financial records revealed a pattern of risky investments and questionable transactions. Laura had been involved in a scheme to funnel money into failing ventures, a fact that had led to significant tension in her personal and professional life. The pieces of the puzzle began to fit together, but the truth remained elusive. The case was far from straightforward, and Rachel knew that unraveling the complexities of Laura Sinclair's life would be key to solving the murder. With every lead, she was drawn deeper into a web of deceit and betrayal, each layer revealing more about the dark undercurrents of the glamorous world Laura had inhabited. The investigation was just beginning, and the shadows of the fashion world were about to reveal their hidden secrets. Detective Rachel Adams began the second phase of her investigation with a growing sense of unease. The initial interviews had provided a glimpse into the glamorous facade of Laura Sinclair's life, but the deeper Rachel delved, the more complex and tangled the web of deceit appeared to be. Laura's death was not merely a case of personal vendetta, but seemed to involve a mix of financial treachery and personal betrayals. Rachel's first order of business was to follow up on the details surrounding Laura's affair with Ben Carter. The affair had been public knowledge among those in the fashion industry, but Ben's alibi, supported by multiple witnesses at his studio, remained unshaken. Rachel decided to probe deeper into Ben's financial situation and his relationship with Laura. She arranged a meeting with Ben Carter at his studio in West Hollywood. The space was a vibrant blend of creativity and chaos, filled with fabric swatches, design sketches, and mannequins. Ben, at 40, was impeccably dressed in a stylish yet understated manner, his sharp eyes reflecting both charm and weariness. Despite his calm demeanor, there was an undercurrent of tension in his voice as he spoke about Laura. "I was devastated when Laura ended our affair," Ben confessed. "She was my muse, and I thought we had a future together. But things took a turn for the worse when she pulled out of supporting my upcoming show." Rachel observed Ben's body language closely. He seemed genuinely distressed, and his frustration about the canceled support appeared authentic. However, the fashion world's elite had often masked their true feelings behind a veneer of civility. Rachel needed more than words. She needed evidence. As Rachel left Ben's studio, she reviewed his financial records, which she had obtained through a court order. The documents revealed a series of investments and expenditures that were far from transparent. Ben's financial troubles were evident, and Laura's withdrawal of support had left him in a precarious position. The mounting debt and strained finances were consistent with his motive for a potential crime, but Rachel needed a clearer link between Ben and Laura's murder. Next on Rachel's list was Sophie Devereaux, a former model and Gregory Sinclair's current lover. At 27, Sophie was younger and less established than Laura, but she had harbored feelings of resentment towards the fashion icon. Rachel arranged to meet Sophie at a trendy cafe in Beverly Hills. Sophie, dressed in high fashion and exuding an air of fragile elegance, was visibly nervous during their interview. She was a striking contrast to Laura, more delicate with a look of vulnerability. Sophie had been seen in the vicinity of Laura's penthouse on the night of the murder, but her alibi was that she had been visiting friends in Santa Monica. Rachel needed to assess the validity of her claim. "I had been with Gregory before heading to Santa Monica," Sophie explained, her voice trembling. "We were planning our future together, and I had no reason to harm Laura. I was hurt by her actions, but I would never resort to violence." Rachel scrutinized Sophie's statement. The resentment was palpable, but whether it was sufficient to drive her to murder was another matter. Sophie's account was corroborated by her friends, but Rachel suspected that there might be more to Sophie's story. The personal dynamics and conflicts within the world of high fashion were intricate and often hidden beneath a surface of civility. Rachel continued her investigation by reviewing Laura's financial dealings more thoroughly. The designer's extravagant lifestyle was supported by a series of questionable investments and shady financial maneuvers. It became clear that Laura had been involved in a significant financial scandal, which involved embezzling funds from her fashion business to cover up failing ventures. The financial documents indicated that Laura had been blackmailing investors to keep her business afloat. One name repeatedly surfaced in the financial records: Thomas Clark, a disgruntled investor who had lost a substantial amount of money due to Laura's questionable practices. Thomas was a 50-year-old businessman who had invested heavily in Laura's projects. When the investments failed, he faced severe financial losses, and the bitterness from his losses had been well documented. Rachel arranged an interview with Thomas at his modest office in downtown Los Angeles. Thomas, who had a grizzled appearance and a demeanor hardened by financial struggle, was initially cooperative, but soon became defensive when questioned about his relationship with Laura. "I had a lot riding on Laura's success," Thomas said, his voice strained. "When she pulled out of the projects, it was like a slap in the face. I'm not saying I didn't feel angry, but I would never harm anyone." Rachel sensed a deep-seated rage behind Thomas's words. His financial loss was significant, and the timing of Laura's withdrawal of support was suspicious. Rachel needed to probe further to determine whether Thomas's anger had crossed the line into criminal behavior. In the course of her investigation, Rachel uncovered a hidden aspect of Laura's life. Laura's personal assistant, Jessica Klein, had become increasingly frustrated with Laura in the months leading up to the murder. Jessica's work had been closely tied to Laura's fashion empire, and their professional relationship had deteriorated over time. Jessica had been involved in numerous disputes with Laura over various work-related issues. Rachel decided to revisit Jessica for further questioning. The young woman, whose demeanor had previously been composed, appeared more anxious than before. Jessica's accounts of her interactions with Laura revealed a complex and strained relationship. "I was just trying to do my job," Jessica said, her voice wavering. "Laura had become unpredictable and difficult to work with. I felt like she was pushing me away, but I had no reason to hurt her." Rachel noted Jessica's nervousness, but also saw that her anger was directed more at Laura's professional conduct rather than personal malice. Jessica's alibi, which was supported by a yoga class, seemed to hold up, but Rachel remained cautious. With the investigation branching out in multiple directions, Rachel was faced with a tangled web of relationships and motives. The layers of deceit and betrayal within Laura's life were becoming clearer, yet the true motive behind her murder remained elusive. Rachel knew that solving this case would require unraveling not only the personal grievances, but also the intricate financial schemes that had underpinned Laura's seemingly perfect life. As Rachel continued to piece together the puzzle, she realized that each clue led to another layer of complexity. The world of high fashion, with its glitz and glamour, concealed darker truths and hidden resentments that were only beginning to surface. The true challenge lay in connecting the disparate threads of deception and discovering who, amidst the chaos, had the most to gain from Laura's demise. Detective Rachel Adams entered the final phase of her investigation with a growing sense of urgency. The complexities of Laura Sinclair's life had unfolded like a meticulously woven tapestry, each thread revealing a darker underbelly of deception and betrayal. As Rachel pieced together the evidence, she realized that the key to solving Laura's murder lay in understanding the true nature of her financial dealings and the motivations of those closest to her. Rachel's first step was to delve deeper into Laura's financial records. The evidence pointed towards a significant embezzlement scheme that Laura had orchestrated to salvage her failing business ventures. The designer had been funneling money from her various projects, leading to the financial ruin of several investors, including Thomas Clark. The magnitude of Laura's financial misdeeds was staggering, and it became clear that many individuals had been severely affected by her actions. The investigation led Rachel to examine Thomas Clark's background more closely. Thomas, a businessman in his 50s with a reputation for shrewd investments, had been deeply invested in Laura's fashion empire. When Laura's business ventures failed, Thomas lost a substantial amount of money, which had left him financially crippled and emotionally distraught. His anger towards Laura was palpable, but Rachel needed concrete evidence linking him to the crime. Rachel arranged for a final interview with Thomas Clark, who met her at a dingy coffee shop in a part of town that seemed worlds away from the glamour of Laura's penthouse. Thomas appeared more disheveled than before, his frustration evident in his strained voice. "I've already told you everything I know," Thomas said, his eyes darting around the room. "I was furious when Laura pulled out of the projects, but I didn't kill her." Rachel studied Thomas's reaction carefully. His anger was undeniable, but it was essential to determine if it was enough to drive him to murder. Thomas's financial distress and bitterness were substantial, but Rachel needed more to connect him to the murder. Rachel decided to explore the possibility that someone else might have been involved in the scheme. The mounting evidence suggested that Laura had been blackmailing her investors to cover her tracks, and Thomas was not the only victim. Rachel re-examined the relationships between Laura and her associates, focusing on those who might have had a motive to silence her. One individual who had surfaced in the investigation was Jessica Klein, Laura's personal assistant. Jessica had appeared increasingly frustrated with Laura's erratic behavior and was known to have had several confrontations with her employer. Although Jessica's alibi was supported by her yoga class, Rachel could not ignore the potential for hidden motives. Rachel arranged a follow-up interview with Jessica at her apartment. Jessica was visibly nervous, her hands fidgeting as she spoke. The young assistant's anxiety had grown more pronounced, and Rachel noticed that Jessica was now visibly trembling. "I swear I didn't harm Laura," Jessica insisted. "I had a difficult relationship with her, but I didn't want her dead. I was just trying to keep up with her demands." Rachel decided to press Jessica further, asking about her knowledge of Laura's financial dealings. Jessica hesitated but eventually revealed that Laura had recently confided in her about serious financial issues. Laura had been desperate and had hinted at resorting to extreme measures to cover her tracks. The revelation provided a crucial lead. Rachel realized that Laura's financial troubles might have driven her to take drastic actions, possibly involving others who were also affected by the scandal. Rachel decided to revisit Ben Carter, focusing on his potential connection to the embezzlement scheme and his relationship with Laura. Rachel met with Ben at his studio once more. This time, her approach was more direct. She presented Ben with evidence of Laura's financial misconduct and asked him pointedly about his knowledge of her blackmailing tactics. "I had no idea Laura was involved in such a scheme," Ben said, his face paling as he examined the documents. "I was struggling with my own problems, but I would never have imagined she was doing something like this." Ben's reaction appeared genuine, but Rachel remained cautious. The information about Laura's blackmailing had surfaced through various channels, and Ben's involvement in the scandal remained a possibility. Rachel needed a breakthrough to connect the dots definitively. As Rachel reviewed the case one last time, she received an unexpected tip from a former employee of Laura's fashion house. The employee, a former accountant named Linda Harris, had left the company shortly before Laura's murder. Linda provided Rachel with crucial information about Laura's financial transactions, revealing a hidden pattern of bribes and secret payments. The evidence uncovered by Linda pointed to an intricate network of financial manipulation involving multiple individuals. Rachel realized that Laura's financial troubles had entangled several people, and the motive for her murder was rooted in a web of deception far more complex than initially understood. Rachel revisited Thomas Clark and confronted him with the new evidence. Thomas's demeanor changed dramatically as he was presented with Linda's revelations. The accountant's detailed account of Laura's embezzlement scheme had exposed Thomas's involvement in an illicit deal with Laura, which had been conducted secretly. Under pressure, Thomas admitted to his role in the scheme but denied committing the murder. Rachel, however, had already pieced together the final part of the puzzle. She had discovered a hidden link between Thomas and another individual, a business partner who had been deeply invested in Laura's projects and had been orchestrating the blackmail behind the scenes. The true mastermind behind Laura's murder was uncovered to be Marcus Ellison, a businessman in his late 40s who had been an influential player in the fashion industry. Marcus had been working with Laura to manipulate financial deals, and when Laura's blackmail scheme threatened to expose their collusion, Marcus saw her as a liability. In a desperate attempt to protect his own interests and avoid public disgrace, Marcus had orchestrated Laura's murder and framed Thomas to divert attention from himself. Rachel arrested Marcus Ellison, who, under interrogation, confessed to the crime. He had meticulously planned the murder, using Thomas's financial distress as a smokescreen to cover his tracks.